last, even though they've been tough. Just let them know my people been had enough. Tell them we gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. I know these times won't last, even though they've been tough. Just let them know my people been had enough. Tell them we gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. Please, Lord, forgive them. They try to hold back and chillin' like they ain't know it was written. Wanna free my people from mental prisons. With your eyes on a sparrow, I know we'll narrow divisions. Hope is the boat that keep us afloat just as you envision. Faith to erase the pain from all of our people slain. Destined for change, actions to back up your spoken name. When they throw dirt on ours, we use it to play the game. When it rains, we go greater together, no matter the weather. Trust these dark days, gonna get better. Know that love will be the light to guide all our endeavors. And even if the tide should rise, we'll ride it forever. Why? We are mighty, we'll fight for our lives, cause we're dying to live. Future is ours, the timing is now. Black will be proud, we're saying it loud. We gave it a roar, there's so much more to give. We breaking down all the wall. I know these times won't last, even though they've been tough. Just let them know my people been had enough. Tell them we gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. Tell them we gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. I know these times won't last, even though they've been tough. Just let them know my people been had enough. Tell them we gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. Never backing down for the cause. Try to put our life on pause. Cause we move in the image of God. No matter the hate the smoking, our spirits remain unbroken. The divine man says you can't count us out. We are the answer. From the youth to the elders, ain't what you can tell us. Style and brilliance of mind. Heart is bright as sunshine. Warrior spirits alive. So no, we won't be denied. So vibration is high and the frequency so angelic like. People come on. I know these times won't last, even though they've been tough. Just let them know my people been had enough. Tell them we gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. I know these times won't last, even though they've been tough. Just let them know my people been had enough. Tell them we gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. We gon' rise up. Rise up. Rise up.
Yeah, family, you already know how it goes on a Monday night. It's Soundbytes International Radio. Black Conscious Acclaim, one world is the aim. We're in conversations pertinent to our diasporic landscape to bring healing, protection, empowerment, and guidance to our Earth's family. Of course, I'm Hasir Khan Nefarah, and this is yes, indeed. My fingers ain't working today. I don't know what's going on. So tune in, family. We are live right here on the Facebook platform. We are also live on YouTube, and we are live on our Twitter. So please make sure you follow those platforms as well, or have your peoples them come and follow through. And remember, just to do at the top of the show, we want to get some housework done. Remember to follow us on Instagram at Soundbytes International Radio. And also, again, follow us right here on Facebook at Soundbytes INTL Radio. Subscribe on our YouTube channel, which is Soundbytes International Radio. Let's get them subscribers up, family, so we can fully customize the YouTube experience. They want numbers to, have things look a certain type of way. So let's get them numbers up. We're still fresh with YouTube, but we'd love to have you there tuning in as well. Also, remember, of course, you can follow our podcast on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify at Soundbytes International Radio. Please make sure to give those 5 stars in your written reviews. It supports in the continued growth of the Soundbytes platform on a wider level. You can also follow us on Twitter at Soundbytes INTL. We are running live right now on Periscope via Twitter, so you can visit the platform to do that as well. And also, as you see scrolling across the screen, you can visit our website at thisissoundbytes.com. Where you can not only purchase merch and support the Soundbytes brand, but you can support the Soundbytes brand by varying any monetary gifts or donations or energy exchanges that you feel is necessary. If you find value in what we bring here with the Soundbytes platform.
Thanks.
So of course we appreciate all energy exchanges and yields. We peace and blessings to everybody that's donated to our cause thus far to help us keep
out to you for believing in us and for supporting this message, because you know what it is, family.
It matters. It
you
matters.
Know what it is, family.
It's independent, as we always say, this is an independently run, Black-owned operation here at Soundbytes. We do what we can with the tools that we have in our hand. It's always good to be able to grow and provide the family with as much possible resources necessary. So just in order to keep the sustainability going, your gifts are always appreciated. But it's all love is either way. Please share the broadcast, join the conversation today, and let's get into it, fam. Let's check in. Peace and blessings, brother Eric. We see you. Thank you for joining us. Yuhuru on Mat Hotep. Good brother. Peace and blessings to you. Appreciate your energy always, brother. So we're going to discuss, as usual, we always have, there's always a topic, but then we always end up going to 1,000,001 topics because we, there's a lot to talk about out here, family. So, but particularly,
incredible.
Our journey is a deep one and a winding road. But today we want to, specifically speak to our African values and looking at, our community, our landscape. What are the breakdowns? And also the breakthroughs that we can get to as, acknowledging the breakdowns that take place in our community. Because, in healing, you're not healing unless you're acknowledging the fact that there is something to heal from. And we as Africans, especially on this U.S. soil, should be standing very clear that there's a lot to heal from. There's a lot of epigenetic traumas that we deal with on a daily basis throughout our history that we've been conditioned to put aside and bottle up. And as a result, has created a living experience for us that's essentially delusional, essentially aloof and self degrading and detrimental to our growth as people, right? Not even just as African to African, but African to the rest of the world landscape, right? And part of that deficit is also looking at how the world landscape views and interacts and respects the African experience as human, right? Always acknowledging our humanity first. In looking at all of this. So how do we look at the deficits that we're dealing with? How do we, within our community, within ourselves, within our communities, and how do we move forward, right? Again, healing requires acknowledgement and then moving forward. What's the next steps? Let's get into solutions. A lot of what we find in our community, one of the things I'll say is a huge breakdown as we've been conditioned to this idea of learned helplessness and always finding ourselves to miss the problem. This is the problem. There's a complaint. And very, very rarely are we in a mode of solution-based thinking, a mode of critical thinking. Now more than ever, interestingly enough, given how things are moving in the world landscape today, there's actually feels to be less critical thinking than it actually really is needed. It's desperately needed right now in these times. It seems we've grown to adopt societal, trigger words and trendy words and buzzwords and words that, don't mean a thing if there's no action behind them as a means to combat the things that are taking place, the injustices and things that are taking place against the African on this U.S. soil, without any real depth, without any real understanding and critical analysis of our living experience. Are we really living it to the fullest? Are we really addressing the issues? And I will say, and Neff will say as well, that we're not we're not addressing it to its full potential in order to get where we need to go. And it is important for us to engage constantly with ourselves and our living experience so we can know how to get out of it, so we can know how to change it and transform it, and realize that under this matrix canopy, we're not thriving. We have never been thriving under here. We regardless of Black Wall Street and things of that nature, a lot of what we've been doing has been coping with the landscape that American this U.S. system has brought to us, right? We're still under. You thinking about the other day, like looking at the Constitution, we're still under laws. Shouts out to Brother Charity Crawford breaking it down. He's always bringing some real intuitive knowledge and breaking down certain subjects. Looking at the Constitution is like we're still under a document that's older than like this, barely older than this country was even created, and we're still living by that, and it's only been ratified. He said 23 times?
27, I think he said
27 times.
He said he's editing his book, and he's edited it more than 27 times.
A book in a year.
A book that's not like detrimental to people's lives and affecting many landscapes, and it's incredible.
Yeah, but we're living under a document that's so old. Mm-hmm. That's what, over 300 years old. Mm-hmm. That's providing a safeguard and protection to really white men, right? Not even to women, not even, especially not to Black people, because we weren't considered human at the time of the writing.
I don't think that
we were property.
I don't think that we think about that often.
Yeah, it's still in the Constitution, 3/5 of a human.
Yes.
African.
That hasn't been ratified. Explain.
Oh.
Why hasn't that been ratified?
Like, why has that not been ratified? Why would it be ratified, right? When the idea is a lot of what the colonial growth around the globe has been about survival tactics and power, right? Kind of control and manipulation. And if we're seen as a threat to any type of thriving of a nation or a community or a tribe, whatever the case may be, and all that we do, we're very resourceful lot. We are.
We make it up. We make up. But the Mayor Barack said this week, we make do.
We make do.
We make do. We figure out. We stretch things.
We always do. It's in the brilliance of our creation since the dawn of time, since the dawn of when we were the first people. There's always been a brilliance there. There's always been and in these tactics that we look at of fighting for power dynamics, which includes genocide and rape and pillaging and all these things, and like a hostile takeovers, violence being used as the means to take over people, people that's not necessarily prone to violence, outward violence as a means to control other people, right? That's not been our way. But yeah, we've been subjected to this, here and across the globe. Right. So why would it be ratified in this establishment of this space where you've got the upper hand of a people enslaved to do work and to be subservient by virtue of violence? Why would they want to, if that's their way, why would they want anybody to come out on top ever? So these are things we want to think about, African. And if you have any thoughts you want to share.
Yeah, I have. I constantly connect with our full landscape of evolving as African people. I'm not so sure that we are aware of all that it takes to go into the process of evolving as an African and what it takes to create a society. So this is where this whole topic came from, like when we discussing the breakdowns of African values and community village support and what that looks like and why these breakdowns have occurred. Because I know that some of us look good, we living good, we driving yachts, we out here balling and shot calling and living good, looking good, right? Doing all these wonderful things. But the best possibility for all of this has been coping. It's literally different levels of coping. We've literally been coping with them. And I know a lot of people don't see it that way, because they're living in a place that hasn't expanded enough. If you've grown inside of a bubble, they used to have these plants that you could go into like the grocery store, whatever, and you'll see these little glass bubbles, and you'll see a little plant growing inside of it. And we've learned something about our growing journey. We had the beets in a small space. Once we put the beets in a bigger space, the vegetation grows bigger.
Right.
So as long as the vegetation is in this little bubble, this little glass ball, it will not supersede its space.
Right.
It won't grow beyond its space. So many of us have succumbed to this experience that we're having within this little bubble that we've been cultivated in, and we've not grown beyond it. We don't think, process, we don't aspire. And then even when we do, we find ourselves inside of a lot of confusion. Confusion trying to negotiate these thoughts, trying to figure out where it all fits. Because let me tell you, I'm telling you what I know, not what I heard. I'm telling you what I know. Trying to figure out where it all fits and trying to figure out how to integrate it, because there's not really a safe space. I was talking now about there's no safe space for a realized African in the Matrix at all, period. There are tons of defaults and checks and balances that go into the Matrix in order to, and this is what Neely Fuller said, the United Compensatory Code system, that the Matrix only refines itself. That's all it does. It doesn't, because we're not looking at it from the way that the Matrix is set up. The Matrix is actually a business plan. It is a forecast. It is a society. It is checks and balances. There are default behaviors and cognitive programming around the space that has forced people to behave according to their needs. So this is why it's like, and the best thing about it is hide it in plain sight. There's no bars. There's nobody with a gun in anybody's face on a daily basis, but people make things happen. People have been making these realities continue to occur. So it's hidden in plain sight. We see it every day. And it's so deceptive and cunning that we don't even acknowledge its presence. And people are offended when you talk about it. Offended.
Probably offended because they didn't think of it first.
It doesn't even, you know what? Because the reality of it is, when you connect with this information, you may be forced to have to look at something that you have been avoiding. And it's intrusive to some people because there are a lot of people who are staunch supporters of the Matrix, not even aware of it on their own accord. Inside the line, inside the Matrix says, what do you see in the Matrix? Teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people that we are trying to save. You must understand, most of these people are so inert, so hopelessly dependent upon the system. These people are not ready to be unplugged. You must understand, Neil, most of these people are so inert, so hopelessly dependent upon the system that they will fight you to protect it. It boggles me because I have been able to conceive of a society where this madness that's apart, we believe that war is a reality. We got to go stick guns in people's face. We believe that we can go to other people's. This is what they tell us. And this is crazy because we go for it. And then we look at our life and we look back 20, 30, 40 years. And we realize that the United States with other people's countries because of someone else's request and kill their leaders so that corporations can go to their country and take over their resources. Why do we not see this? Why do we not see this and use your tax dollars and your sons and daughters and send them to the military to steal from somebody else? How is it that we don't collectively see this? But don't you talk about an American flag? Don't you talk about patriotism? There's several conversations happening here. That is a long-term conversation. There's also another conversation of daily maintenance and our social environment because we are people and we need to co-collect. And the majority, 99% of us, we're not even at the table that's making decisions, but we are a part of the mechanism that makes people make things happen. We're a part of that mechanism. As community on the ground, we're at each other in different ways for different reasons in our various boxes, and we're not even at the round table getting the greatest benefit from the foolishness. And it's shocking to me that it never occurs to people. So this is why the development of human beings, this is why there's scientists that catalog human development.
Right.
There's a science of cataloging human development so that we can then look at, well, at this age, we'll give you this much. And at this age, we'll give you this much. And at this age, we'll give you this much. Most people don't get to be my age and have passed over this space. Generally, you go through, and by the time you get into my age, you're so deeply entrenched in the matrix that even if you want to wake up, you can't.
It's hard to come out.
It's harder to come out.
You a hand waving in the quicksand.
No.
Good luck with
you
that.
Might got a finger out like this. Oh my God, somebody throw me a bone.
You're too deeply entrenched.
You're too deeply entrenched in the matrix. It doesn't usually happen at that age. Usually you're just like, you're in there. That's it.
There's sand in your eyes.
You're just in
there. Yeah. And that's the thing to really deal with and really battle with. And like a lot of, and I feel not only our African, community, but just people in general that have been like, that have been had the wool pulled over their eyes by this whole colonial system is like how I've been conditioned as this for so long. You mean to tell me it's a lie? I can't believe that. And that's where cognitive dissonance ends up coming from.
Yep.
A poor white or whatever, a middle class white, whatever you want to call it, will be hard pressed to like even try to like, oh well, you know, that makes sense. No, they will fight it to like, no, this can't be. The justice system works. They should have obeyed the law. All this type of stuff. I'll listen to hip hop. You know, a homeboy over there should have obeyed the law. The cops wouldn't have did nothing. You know, and then you got black folks, you know, Africans that do the same thing because they go along to get along and be part of the peanut gallery of the system because of the majority, the quote unquote majority, as the picture is painted, not as the reality that exists, but the majority as the picture is painted in their neck of the woods says that this is what you need to do. So if I am to survive as the one piece of pepper in the bowl of rice, then I need to subscribe to acting like some rice. And do my best to season the situation, right? To be anecdotal, but like, you know, we need to be able to be courageous enough to break free of these things that have indoctrinated us. It's a constant everyday cycle to break free of stuff. And when you're that deeply entrenched and you finally say, oh, I see the way things are now, it's going to be harder and harder to get into the spaces, like Neferah said, to do the necessary healing you need to do. Nope. Why? Because now you got friends that want to jump in. You know, you got your white friends or your non-black friends, non-POC friends that want to jump in. And then now they're in those spaces, and now either you have to answer questions for them, and you've taken away time from your healing,
and I have,
they'll usurp the space and interject their emotions and feelings into something that they've chosen to not choose to understand, but to criticize or be bewildered by. And that doesn't work because now your healing space has been taken away.
It's confusion,
and that's the confusion that exists. And if we're not cognizant of how we can jump in front of these things and get ahead of these things now, and really it takes a staunch foot forward, planted down in the face of who we've got our friends and our bosom buddies and our drinking buddies from college. Things changed. Mm-mm. Things have changed.
But people want to have their cake and they want to eat it too, Grandma said. They don't really want to be, our system has given us behaviors that force us to feel like if we get on a right track that we've lost something. See, this is what it is to put the African values, right? There was a time in the African community that everybody had something to do. There wasn't stragglers. Everybody contributed. And there was a social environment where everybody contributed to the whole. And if you had an inability to contribute, there were accommodations made to support you. You weren't left behind. You didn't fall through the cracks. See, in this matrix, if you don't make it somewhere or get to do something, people make it as a personal failing. Oh, you didn't do. I'm clear. I'm abundantly clear that I've met circumstances that are no result of my own actions. Trust me, it didn't happen for lack of trying. Mm-hmm. It's hard. It's hard pressed for me to meet folks that work harder than me. Hard pressed. Use all my talents to support my employer. Have done it because it makes my work easier. I'm happy to do that. And I'm generally in service to people. So I put myself in spaces where it allows me to be myself and actualize myself. And guess what's happened? I'm dealing with anti-blackness in this space because these are the checks and balances of the matrix. Everybody is not meeting the urgency of the circumstance at the same level. And some people are functioning in their skin and they're functioning at levels where it's about like jealousy. Jealousy is such a child. As an adult, it's such a childish emotion to me. Ego and jealousy and envy, like that to me, because you know what? We live in a society where you can create whatever you want to create. If you don't like your face, you can go get a whole new one.
Or your body.
If you don't like your body, you can go buy you a new one. How bad do you want it? Don't sit there and envy somebody. I'm just saying.
You don't like your skin.
Why don't you just go work on your own? Go work on your life. Go work on your emotions. Go create whatever you want to create, because that's the society we live in. So my thing is, if that's something that you could actually create with just a few steps, do that. Get that out of your way so that you can get to the real work, which is the internal work, which is the community service work, which is the restructuring the social landscape that we're living in. As African people, you had your developmental process. While the Matrix has its catalog of your development, we as a community, we had a catalog of our development. and you had a mentor, you had an apprenticeship, you had a duty. Your hands weren't idling. You grew in the men raised them in a certain African tribe. Even to this day, men raise men and women raise women. Somebody's going to teach you what the cultural expression is that's appropriate for women. Somebody's going to teach you what the appropriate cultural expression for a man in a community is. You'll get your manhood. You'll go to your level of, and you will evolve, and you will have reached certain milestones in your development that will give you the confidence, along with the fact that while you're growing, you also know that you have a community of people to stand in your back. Mm-hmm. Right? And we honor rank in our community. In our community today, we don't have no respect for rank. We want to know how we want to respect you based on what we think you are worth. Mm-hmm. This is why when we say African lives matter, do they really? Because I've had African people, because I'm not driving a BMW, or because I don't have whatever cosign or somebody here's so and so here, had this person. You're a carrier, a supporter, or a sponsor, what have you. They'll feel like they don't have to acknowledge you. And then when I walk back and they say, oh, and everybody comes and says, oh, wow. Oh. So now you want to start acting nice because you see that, because it's not necessary to hold it. Anything in this matrix to me is not necessary to hold in any way, because it's all the matrix. It's no reason. No one should be arrogant. No one should be feeling like they got it made and all that. In the matrix, to me, that's foolishness, because even the African continent has been disrupted. The development has been disrupted because of the intrusion. And the fact of the matter is, African people and people of color have to look at the intrusion on the development of the people, because the full potential has yet to be realized. Fully realized Africans, and guess what? The matrix continue to give you these chips, which is what it's been doing. It's been literally giving you piecemeal, pacifying you, and it has been refining itself every step of the way. We're looking at this situation right now. And I said the other day, I said, something? It occurred to me that we needed the schematics was such, there's a team of people, and they say, you know what? We need to reduce emissions by X amount of percentage. If we can get rid of all consumer traffic around the world, we can reduce emissions for the ozone layer X amount. But we can't fake a death killing pandemic. We got to create one for real, because we need to shut everybody down, and we want to change the financial system. So if all of these businesses shut down for 3-4, because trust me, the schematics was done already. It was done. While people say, I don't want to wear no mask. No, there is a pandemic, but there was a reason for the pandemic. The why is what you're absent of. You're absent of the why. Because remember what was happening. The water wasn't being overused. There wasn't overage of pollution. Mm-hmm. Factories stopped producing as much. People weren't going up and down. Train systems around the world, including New York City, which as long as I've ever known it, New York City transportation has been 24 hours. Mm. New York City. Now, I went to Paris back in 2011. And for grad school, I did my business internship in London. Our school took us there. It wasn't a choice. I didn't have a choice. But aside from that, their systems shut down at 1:00 in the morning. Mm-hmm. They shut their systems down so they can, 1, do cleaning, 2, to give the systems rest. The train tracks, the trains, it's wear and tear. Everything is wear and tear.
It's a fair thing to do.
New York City is down from 1 to 5, and they've maintained it. Impossible. People not running in and out of clubs with all the debauchery and the foolishness that's going on that be happening in these back hallways, and the drug use and all of this has been happening. All of those things has come down to, this didn't happen in New York only. This didn't happen in America only. This happened around the world. So the why is what we're absent of. And we're not thinking about it, and we're hungry for sports, and we're hungry for the concerts, and we're hungry for the block parties,
the short-term luxury and the pleasure centers.
We've been conditioned into this foolishness. We've been conditioned into our strong hunger for things that are frivolous. Mm. We've been enculturated into this life.
And temporary.
All of those things are temporary, and they're just so... it's a sad state of affairs when we make that our fundamental priority above human life, above a quality of life. There is a branding purpose for white-centered consciousness, and there's a reason to have it be white-centered consciousness, because, Jane Elliott says, if you're a white person, you're not racist, you're a miracle, right? You've done some real work to make sure that you weren't a racist. Because the system in and of itself, in all of its layers,
inherently racist.
Is inherently racist, and it inherently defaults to whiteness as a cultural experience as the front.
Right, because no matter black or anything else non-white, you're going to be categorized and pegged in a certain way, in a certain mode of treatment based on your race, and that's just the way the system has been set up. So now that they've dealt with you ahead of time, so now when you come into these borders, you will be set up in a certain type of way that maintains a certain function for how things are going to move to keep whiteness in power. Period. And most
people default to it.
And most people default to it because it's just what it is. Well, this is what they do over here, then that's what they're going to do.
And they just fall in line.
That's it.
And then what they did was they created imbalance by creating the lack in other countries. When individuals come to this country, you're going to have the hiccup where there's not going to be harmony because you got one group of people who want to assimilate to the space, who don't want to hear nothing you have to say, who are taking on white center conscious and its judgment of African people. You have white center conscious and individuals who are of a white cultural experience now, because now you're talking about on the ground. On the ground, there's something called the cultural experience, behaviors and actions and decorum and different things. Those are cultural experiences, shared, background. That's a space that is only white people have access to it. No one can have access to it. You can be given a temporary residence card. That's it. That's at best. And guess what? That's exactly how the Constitution responds to African people and people of color. And every now and again, they give people the honorary card so that they can inflate their numbers and not really demonstrate that they have weakness and that there's a reduction. And there's an entire group of huge group of there's a huge group of collectives that were eugenics because we need to now figure out how to work in this space around individuals who it is their cultural experience to just be having mad babies, right? We just be having mad babies. Like we can do that thing without even thinking about it. What can we do? What can happen that we can reduce this? There's so many different levels that has been impacted now to keep us to reduce our reproduction. Everything from shifting the social landscape to just straight putting men into prison. Just keep the men away from the women. Period. We can do that. America has the highest prison population. African people represent less than 16 to 13% of American population, yet we are almost 75%, 85% of the prison population.
How does that work?
How is this possible? Unless there is a mechanism at play that is causing regular, everyday, nondescript, no name, John and Jane Q. public white guy, right? From Podunk, backwoods, wherever this country's all over America, okay, and the police departments, right? Precinct, because that's where it's happening. It's starting from there. No, it's starting from education, and it's moving on up. And these correctional officers, what's happening? I have concern. I don't know why people don't think about these things. All they're concerned with, let me get what's good for me.
Right. And I think we fail to look at those numbers and those dynamics in a lot of ways of how much we make up the American landscape, right? We're talking about 45 million, 50 million people, probably just teetering around the 45 mark when everything that's been going on,
right?
Between the violence that does exist in our community as a general basis,
right?
Not as a specified act of blackness on blackness, which we want to be clear. But that's the thing we want to be mindful of, is that when these things are being told, oh, what about black on black crime? What about these things? Oh, black people killing each other, like all this type of stuff. We want to think about we're not even a large majority of this country. But yeah, we're the highest people, not only in the jails, but the highest people that are dealing with this idea of what police brutality has been taking place, and criminality. You go to a white community, you go to a Spanish community, you go to Asian community, one way or another, at some varying level, there's going to be some form of criminality that's going to take place, right? But you want to think about the schematics of what the conditioning has done to black people in these communities that have been deemed low income, and creating a space for survival of the fittest, kill or be killed, or whatever the case may be. I got to do X, Y, Z to survive, on top of compounded with police brutality and racism out in the streets as a preventative measure, further against the black community, and that's outside of the hood and inside of the hood. Outside meaning like you can be a Howard alum, a doctorate, but you get stopped at the wrong time on the wrong side of town, it's over for you.
A situation, a circumstance.
The numbers are high. Oh, the numbers are high as far as that. Yeah, but look at these numbers in terms of how many of us actually exist on this soil versus how many white people exist on this soil. And come back to me and look at the ratio. Come back and look at the ratio of that and really understand what's being taken place of this slow, not even really slow, but it's like this strategic eradication of a community.
But it's happened across the planet though. And because no one is having a real strategic conversation about it, and they have a way of the moment you start talking. I was looking at right now. I'm gonna say right now.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Show
Makeba.
What you talking about?
Miriam Makeba.
Okay.
Kwame Toure's wife.
Shout out to brother Kwame Ture.
Shouts out to brother Kwame
ancestor.
Ture and ancestor Miriam Makeba as well. Powerful voice. Right along with, I was looking at her. She just, I don't know, out of left field just came to mind the other day. I was thinking about South Africa and the apartheid struggle. Every now and again, certain things just sit into my spirit, and then I just start doing a research on it. So questions just pop up on my mind. I'll just start doing some digging a little bit. And she was, riding high, but it wasn't until she got involved with the Black Panthers, Kwame Ture, that they started throwing her stank.
He became public enemy number one.
And white folks got a way of throwing their back to you when they ain't trying to feel what you have to say and how you moving. Like, that's unacceptable. That to me is unacceptable because something, I should be able to opt out if I don't want to jive with you.
Right.
We can do that with anything else. I can opt out. I can't opt out of this living experience on the American soil. So this is what I don't know why we think when we're thinking about our strategy, we got to think about a maintenance conversation. And we have to think about our long-term conversation. And there are certain things that need to be laid, foundation that has to be laid in order for us to actually get to a long-term conversation that's actually viable and matters. For one, we could, I'm here to take it all the way to the top. And, we could literally, something is biting me. I must have got bit by a mosquito. We can literally opt out of the financial system because remember something, when we were our community, we traded goods and we bought it and we didn't need money because anything that works against the unity of the people should be removed. That's strategy.
Right.
Anything that works against the unity and collectiveness of the people. No, but see, this is because people want to have their cake and eat it too. You see, so we got some work to do. How do we restore our journey back to reinstating African values? Mm-hmm. What does it take as a community and as an individual to begin? Because like I said, not only are you going to run into other people who are going to be anti-Black because it's built into the matrix in varying degrees, but you're going to run into other Africans who are going to be anti-Black. And then you're going to run into, because that's what I had. Along my journey, there was no support. There was an angel, a word, or ancestor that would show up periodically here and there. And you know what? I list them on a regular basis because I let them know, for those that are still living, about 11 years ago, I missed two. And I was actually out of the state, and I came back to New York, and I had found out that two of them had passed away. So I made it a point to say from then on that I'm going to bring them their flowers while they live. I want to let them know as often as possible that they impacted my life because it was so few that I can recall them by name that I still have access to. Yeah. So that begs to differ. That is a ratio now. While you're on your path to where you're going, I'm not Christian. I was raised Southern Baptist. I deal with the philosophy and the theory. The way to righteousness the way to unrighteousness, broad and wide. The way to righteousness, narrow. Few there be that find it. So if we're going to change the dynamics here, and I talk to us about scientifically, I talk to us about critical mass. In order to shift anything, you need a set amount of number. You need X amount of individuals in order to shift a landscape. Other than that, it's just me, the lone voice in the woods. I said us lone voice in the woods. Woo! Hooty hoo. And it's a bunch of, it's a couple other folk, a handful of folks in the space that's holding their corner, academic, storytelling, art, health, wellness, because we got different windows that we need in order to maintain a strong society. Everybody got a gift, and everybody is a utility to create for the whole.
Absolutely.
So, what does that look like to reinstate those things so that we can?
Absolutely. Share your thoughts, family. Share the broadcast.
Share the broadcast.
We're talking about connecting with what's going on. What are the breakdowns that we have within our community? How can we support shifting that dynamic? How do we break out from those breakdowns, break out from those deficits, understand them so we can heal them. And really, one of the things I would say is we touch on all the time is this community aspect, this unity aspect. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that is what an African proverb for a reason. Ubuntu. I am because we are. So what happens was created in the power of the collective is leaps and bounds greater than what we could ever try to do or frustrate ourselves by trying to do alone or feel like we are alone. You know what I mean? And we work together, like Nefera and I, we work together on what we doing. It's like with this being a narrow walk, you need your peoples, right? And it's much stronger together, right? So to start, we would need our people there. We need our people to be more courageous around stepping into acknowledging that the journey is hard, acknowledging that you need support, acknowledging that it exists, acknowledging that you need support, and that alone can put us steps ahead of the game, right? Because then now you get to see everything for what it is. There's no more veils. There's no more tricks and smokes and mirrors, because you see what it is, and you don't have to be alone in seeing it and feel like you have to now close yourself off or now have to shut the lid again because I can't deal with this anymore. So I'm just gonna go back to be ignorant. You can't be ignorant. Once you know, you can't unknow. So you have to. So you get to deal with it head on, right? But deal with it with others.
But you're not alone doing it.
Your vibe finds your tribe.
You don't have to be alone doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I moved through the journey, and I'm telling you about these different levels of development. It's very important that we understand the science. And I know I said, listen, they have conditioned us to be lazy brained. Mm-hmm. They created a lying narrative about who we were as a people. They fed it to all of their people first, and all of their people were willing to accept it. Because who cares about these people anyway, right? And they're getting their information from other individuals in their cipher, right? So then we begun to break down with the beating. So what they did was they constantly beat us over the head, beat us. You beat a wild horse long enough, you'll break them. And they treat us like animals. They use the same theories that they use on animals to break African men and women. Spiritually, not physically. Break the mind, not the body. Because all they wanted from us was our bodies.
Right. You break the mind, and now you have control. Now you can take the reins of this body and have it do.
And that's why the Matrix is now on autopilot with no driver. So then, as time progressed, we begun to find salve in certain deficits. Alcoholism, drugs. Bad behaviors. We lost our respect for one another. Family, Africans was getting married during slavery against the master's will. Was still finding ways to fortify one another's internal space, like get down into the deep, right? It wasn't about looking fly because you wasn't looking fly nowhere. All you had was eyes across the cotton field. Was when you come into the kitchen, you pass by your wife while she baking biscuits. Right. That's all you had was a glance. That was your marriage. You was married. And then you might have a good master. You might turn out some babies and he might not sell them. That's all you had. So as time progressed, the more progress that happened in the matrix for the quote unquote, the master's house begun to degenerate the African value system little by little to the point where it's get it how you live out here in these streets. And the collective consciousness is still surface. It's not deep enough to reinstate the cohesion that Africans need. There's certain things that have to be in place to have cohesion.
Shaky soil.
There's certain fundamental basis. You got to lay a strong foundation on a solid rock You got to lay a strong foundation, and we got to have individuals that are willing to come together and be with that conversation. Nothing the Matrix can give me to have me turn over and sell foolishness to my family. Impossible. They don't listen. I done been making do. The man talking about Saturday. You be making do. Grandma make do. Stretch about some beans. Stretch that turkey. Be eating turkey for 2 days. He said we eating turkey for 2 months after Thanksgiving.
Listen, you find a way.
Be making turkey stew. Be making turkey sandwiches. Turkey salad. You be out here turkey stew. Everything.
You turn to a damn turkey after a while.
Okay, we stretch.
But
we
you
can
make
it
stretch
happen.
and make it work. We resourceful. We have the wherewithal to do what we need to do. But brother Arik says, how can we be lazy when we built the country for them because they didn't want to do the work themselves?
Talk about it.
That is exactly an example of
we're not lazy. They made us think we was lazy.
Who's owning the narrative? Who's shaping the narrative around who you are?
They made us think we was lazy, and now we have African men and women
you don't want to work for us
who don't want to engage the Matrix at all.
Drape the mania. Why you don't want to be a slave? You want to leave? You don't want to work? What's wrong with you?
You got to be nuts. Come on now.
Your damn mind.
But then we have a space within our community where we have Africans who are not thinking about solutions. We're all trying to find a way to exploit ourselves so we could come up. I haven't figured out a way to bottle this information. I've made it as appealing and I've made it as easy and palatable as possible to process it, coming along with my own personal experiences, because it's my personal experiences and it's my formal training, right? And it's being across the landscape with eyesight for a long time, because I'm telling you, this doesn't happen overnight. You don't wake up yesterday and you woke. No,
don't be fooled.
You shouldn't even be walking around saying you woke. The conversation for you is, I'm evolving. Yeah. I'm in my journey.
Working in progress.
Don't say you woke, because you're tricking yourself.
You're on your journey.
Say that you are on your journey, because to be woke, it's a very long way. And you know what you got to do? You got to run that information through. You got to do some schematics on that information. You now got textbook information, but now how are you applying it to your life? How do you apply it to your relationships? How do you apply it to your working environment? How are you applying it to the relationship that you're having? How do you apply it to the food that you're eating and where you're giving your energy? See, all of that is a part of being woke. Woke is not just, I read a few books and I can quote some people and I'm woke. I'm good. I'm out here, I'm mad, I'm angry, I got a voice and I'm shouting. That's a part of the journey, because I was there. I was standing with the Israelite brothers back then, back down on Fulton Street in Brooklyn, back in them days, getting the lesson. Yeah. That's what I was doing when I was engaging my journey, trying to be around people who was having a different conversation.
And really, we want to understand that it's not even like even to say it's like it's a destination. It's like part of your journey is, and part of the growth is the journey, right? Yes. You don't want to dismiss the journey and the reality and the evolution that happens along the learning process. Once you stop learning, you stop growing, then you're dead. There is no. It's almost arrogant to say I'm that, because there's always something more to learn. Always something more to learn about yourself. Always something to learn about your people. You're constantly in a state of learning, because things are the landscape is ever evolving. The moment you stop and the landscape keeps going, then you're out of pocket and you're out of date. You need to upgrade and step up your game. And that is actually that's where a lot of people are. So you want to always be acknowledging that you're on this journey in this pathway, that there's always more to learn about yourself, about your people, about other people's, because that's how you stay steps ahead of the game to create the solutions necessary to bring the healing that is impactful to our community. There is no one destination. There is no like I'm there. I'm the zenith. I'm that person.
No.
I got all I need.
As long as the matrix is refining. We as a collective
always
never catch up.
There's always an attack.
The matrix is this is why you have to have that I'm gonna just use an octagon, an 8-sided figure as an example. You need that 8-sided figure with all of these different skills, with their eyes looking, so we can try to catch up for our benefit. Mm-hmm. The best we can do right now when it comes to the matrix is safe passage. That's it. We just can hope we can get safe passage. We got our young men out here being broken down. We have the systems in every different areas attacking our people's minds, spirits, and bodies. Like, we got folks, there's companies that sit around trying to figure out ways to put foolishness in food to manipulate your DNA. Mm-hmm. That's wickedness. That's just plain old everyday wickedness. You want to make it your intention to harm people, and just nothing happens with that. All your goal is to stop people from reproducing, or to stop people from Well, because they're poor. How about you get rid of poor?
Yeah.
How about you get rid of poor?
Get rid of poverty. And
You know, we can get rid of
causes
poor.
it.
Poor doesn't really have to exist. You know, man was talking about today on his they're having a new initiative, 40 Acres and a Mule, the FAM Fund. And that's gonna be boss out here. Shouts out to that incredible, powerful African leadership, visionary leadership out here in Newark. Never heard such a thing. I'm so blessed just to be in this space, just to be able to get this information, this and to energy,
know that someone cares,
that somebody is thinking about these things, that somebody is out here creating a strong maintenance system that will support African people so we can get it together. Because if one of us is not doing bad, is not doing good, all of us ain't doing good. So just because you got your situation together, it doesn't matter. Your life is impacted by what's happening with your brother, because your brother's vibration is not adding value to the frequency that would create healing across the landscape. So we got this 8-sided octagon, and we have all of these different skills and talents and things that are happening while we're keeping watch and trying to keep science going on to test these things out to see what works. Because there's no one book that says this is the direction, go here. There's not one. And every time when you get these certain types of skills, you're working within the matrix. So you don't really have the time and opportunity to invest in doing the research and doing the unfolding and doing the building, because you're giving, out of 24 hours, you're giving 11 hours to your employer. And trying to give something to yourself, and trying to give something to your spouse, and trying to give something to your children, trying to give something to your parents. Hopefully you're giving something to your community. So most people just opt out of doing community service. They just be like, well, listen, I'm overworked. I'm trying to get my coin. I'm trying to I take care of my family. I've done what I can. I take care of my nieces and nephews. I've had Black folks tell me that. They don't have time to do community service. Their community service is taking care of their nieces and nephews.
They're part of the community.
But you know what? There's an example that you're setting when you're doing community service. You're saying to other people that we're supposed to take care of each other. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So if you can't cut out movie nights on Friday at least once a month to come and do some community service,
4 hours,
then you're not making Black Lives Matter a priority in your life.
2 hours, 4 hours.
Just because you take care, even in the Bible it said, just because you love your brother who you see every day, you claim you love God, but you ain't never seen God. But you can't even take care of your brother. You see him every day.
See him.
You walk right by him every day. Stop it, knock it off, y'all. Stop playing. Don't have me go up in here. Grandma gonna come up in here right now and come and visit with y'all. Stop playing. We don't want to see grandma tonight. Well, grandma, it's okay. You can stay. Yeah. Love my grandmother. But grandma's the one who be saying that. So know that, family, it's up to us to take care of us. And we need to make it a part of our cultural experience on a daily basis that we reinstate African values. And African values is Ubuntu.
Yes.
Together, unity. I know the matrix got us at each other's throat for these little crumbs that drop off the table. But I'm telling you, even the best, the most well-off African in this matrix is still sitting under the table of the master. I'm telling you.
Because it can be gone in an instant the moment he veers left.
You see what they did to Bill Cosby?
It can be gone in an instant the moment.
Oh my God, I can't believe they did it to Bill Cosby, y'all. I can't believe. Look what they did to OJ. Look what they did to OJ. So I'm saying when you say achievement, when we say we doing all right, I'm saying some people tell me I'm not leaving what my ancestors fought for. Excuse me? Africans are indigenous to the planet. You can go anywhere. You don't have to stand here, and you don't have to be fighting with these folks and tussle. They don't want you here. You can go over there to Cuba and get a relationship with them folks and move there. You can get a relationship in Africa and go back home. Africans are indigenous to the planet. I don't understand why we stay here as a collective and continue to be mistreated the way we do. If we really wanted to make a power move, we would know how to show folks our shoulder. You know how to give folks a cold shoulder. I done had folks give me the cold shoulder. I didn't even do nothing to deserve it, but they gave it to me anyway.
That shit weird.
That's weird, but you won't even give this master who been standing on your neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds the cold shoulder. That's what I call anti-Blackness, African, and it has been indoctrinated. It is now on autopilot. It is what we do to one another, trying to get them crumbs off the master's table, trying to be that miracle Negro, the only one that's amazing, that's favored in the space of, white center consciousness. We're going to talk about some more things, family. Every day, we're going to build it up. We always build it up. But remember something. When you do community service, you're saying we matter. Your body language, your actions, and your activity, and your determination, maybe it's something you need to create within yourself. Oh, I write my check. Oh, I go down there once a year at the soup kitchen and serve. Because, no, that's not it either.
Right.
That's not it either.
Because then that's still touch and go from connecting with the experience is. Are you really
connecting with the people?
Are you connecting with the people? Or are you connecting with the activity? Right? It's not
activity.
Not just an activity. It's not just activity that's fulfilling. Like, how are you having conversations? Are you seeing circumstances that's created these spaces for people? You're talking about people that were once doctors, that were once lawyers, that may have gone through some circumstances.
Okay, some military men that's out there that serve this country well.
Veterans get treated terribly.
Toss them to the garbage. Toss them right on out. And
but it's novelty to call them out for, when there's a NFL game, or call them out at 9/11, what have you, and then treat them like shit the next day. How does that work?
All for pageantry.
It's all pageantry.
All for pageantry.
And the sooner you recognize these things that are all pageantry and trinkets and trophies and ways to just look good in the face of the people. Oh, they did good. Oh, look, they honored this guy. And the next day, that guy, he doesn't have food to eat. That veteran doesn't have proper health care. That veteran is a W amputee, but they didn't have enough money in his insurance
to get his medications.
Like how? Begging on the street or begging on the train.
I'm so tired of seeing that. I'm tired of seeing our good talent, our good elders out here on these streets. That thing just really breaks my heart so hard. I don't understand how people pass these folks. I done heard these folks' stories every day. This is about people out here on the street, and they don't have to be there. We have to reinstate African values, family, because you know something? You doing good. I don't want to be around them people because they got problems. Listen, I met a girl when I was living in Atlanta, and I had a house at the time, rented a house at the time with my son. I met her sit on the floor with 3 of her sons on the floor begging for change. I took this girl to McDonald's and fed her kids. We was together for the next 4.5 hours. Now it's nighttime, and I'm about to go home, and I'm about to take her back to where I dropped her at. Do you know I took her home with me? That girl lived with me for 2 months until she got her place. With her 3 sons.
And that's community African.
Somebody said, oh, that was a risk. I said, no. That's how my grandmother did it. That's how we did it. All she needed was somebody to hold the balance for her a little bit. Mind you, this happened 3 years after I had somebody rob my house. I had another African slickly rob my house. But that's not going to stop me. This woman is on the street with her 3 sons. She could have had a baby father somewhere around the corner waiting to stick me up in my house. Yeah. She could have. But I had to trust. I had to trust because I had to trust. And I had to take that risk and know that I was able to. I locked my bedroom door up, I'm just saying.
You take your precautions, but
I take my precautions, but I had to trust.
But trust in how you get to uplift another African, right? And that's the biggest part with missing.
I couldn't drop that lady back at that corner by that check casher place with them 3 sons at that time of night. The only other option I had was to take her to the precinct. If I took her to the precinct, they'd have took her sons. This coming from a person like myself who was raised in foster care, right? I couldn't take this woman to the system. They was going to take her children from her because she had no address. So, family, we got to reinstate African values, family, in practice. We got to do something different from conversation because I'm so tired of conversation. Yeah. I'm so tired of nice words and pageantry and foolishness. We got to stop that. We got to really put this back in play because only we going to take care of us because only we understand us. Right. The reason that we have anti-blackness is because we in the space of the matrix. If that's changing our behavior, then we need to get out of the matrix.
Right. We can't be sitting here as Africans trying to understand other Africans through the lens of the matrix. That doesn't work. You got to step into self. And it has to be more like, we have these conversations here at Soundbytes as a platform, as one sounding board, right? What is it to be with the community, be on the ground, be with the people, and really get to the root of everything. Get your education, get your training on, right? You train and understand that we are in the midst of this combat right now.
It's attack. It's an attack. And it's
an attack on the community.
It's an attack.
It's an attack on our intelligence. It's an attack on our being as humans. We are under it daily. It doesn't look as overtly as I'm coming to literally hurt you or shoot you
or
beat you
on the
up.
Weekend. But at 8 minutes and 46 seconds, you might as well consider that a lynching.
Yeah.
That was a regular Sunday during Jim Crow South.
It can very well look like
any given Sunday.
It can very well look like lowering your wages or hiring you at a job at a lower wage than a counterpart that actually has less credentials than you.
Every single time.
It could look as simple as that. It could look as simple as you weren't invited to the party, but you're still the cool guy, or you're the one that's the
comic relief.
You're the comic relief, or you're the one that's the party, the only African in the room. It's like, hey, rap something really quick, even though you've never rapped before in your life. Or who's a cool black person to know, or celebrity? Oh, you know Kevin Hart, right? It can look a lot of ways. It can look a lot of ways, and you have to be very clear of what's in the landscape that's creating these situations for us. We have to know when we're under attack.
We got to keep our eyes out. Psychologically. Keep our eyes out. Keep our eyes out and provide safe passage for one another, and also keep our eyes out when people who definitely are not having an African cultural experience, who are definitely not seeing through African prism, whose only interactions with us are social engagement. And there's a social decorum. So that cannot be trusted that cannot be the trust. We got to provide cover. And we also need to install checks and balances in these systems to provide shelter and safe passage for our people. Because I can't even begin to tell you how much I've been going through about with all of this here, actualizing African. I've been trying to give folks, I'm not telling you it's a walk in the park. Mayor Baraka said that, listen, it's not easy.
It's not.
You take blows from family, you take blows from the community, you take blows from friends, you take blows.
Learn the bob and weave.
It's a part. He said, that's what he said. He said, he's going to be ducking and moving.
He said, we're
going to be ducking and moving. We're going to be weaving out here in these streets. But the point is, these are the symptoms to the illness. But in order for us to stop that from happening, we got to put in a little bit of work up front, so we could transition and stop these things from happening. Yes. These things are a symptom of something. If we can stop the symptoms and get to the root, we can move through this, and then this won't be happening. Then when you walk through, you'll get nothing but love. You'll get nothing but love and praise and support and just community.
Trust and believe the system has us thinking those symptomatic things are the cause. They're not. They are not. Hunger is not the cause. Poverty is not the cause. It is a symptom of a bigger issue within the system that is racially motivated, that is oppressive, and it creates these other little offshoots that has us battling that rather than going directly to the source and battling the problem, battling the actual virus. We have to be clear on these things. When it, like Neferar says, it's not about battling white folk. You're not about battling Cletus down the road, or Mark or Bob that has the yacht, or up on the Upper West Side or whatever. It's not about battling them. It's not about battling their race. It's about battling the system that's created these folks as the barriers, as the pawns, as the moving pieces on the board to have us attacking that while they continue to do what they do behind the scenes to keep us in place the way we are. We have to cut through, push them to the side, whatever, block, kia, and get through. But they're not the focus. They're not the focus. The focus is the system ahead. The focus is us.
You
gather the tribe, you gather the collectives to go full steam ahead. We can't be out here battling. But this is over here. No, leave that over there. It'll rot and it'll figure itself out. But you got to focus on you.
If you take part of that energy source from anything, if I pull that plug out, it's dark in here. How about that, family? It would be nice if we could understand that consciousness. All I want to say is, African, pull out the plug, it'll go dark. You're the light. You're the light. You're the energy. You are the one who lightens the darkness. If you take out the plug, it'll go dark. So you don't even have to fight with nobody else. Just work on you. Do your restoration. Just do your restoration. Restore your community. Make it a point to be in community service, to be in service. Community service is not socialism. You're not just giving somebody. Everybody benefits when everybody is doing good, because you know what? We're only as strong as our weakest link. So if we have a community and all of these people over here doing good and those people are not doing good, these spaces are going to be anchors to this. This is going to be pulling out unbalanced. So when everybody's doing good, now you got balance. You don't have this upside down. You have everything on level. Everybody benefits when everybody is on a level. It's only been an illusion that, that we talked about the wealth gap. And I've been talking about this for the past, I teach workforce development. So when I'm doing support with adults in their career development, I'm talking about this wealth gap. Because if I'm talking to adult learners, you don't have 5 to 10 years to be working entry level, work your way up from the mailroom. Because that used to be the conversation back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. You could work your way up from the mailroom, and then before you know it, you could be a VP. Right. That is not happening. By the time I got to school, that system was over.
That was long ago.
They switched it up. Now they done switched up again. Before you need all of these degrees. Now you don't need none because we got to have diversity quotas. So now we can just let folks in. Listen, family, they switch it up on us.
All the time.
They switch it up on us, and we got to be sharp because right now we into new trends.
Right.
We need an acceleration.
Right.
We need an acceleration.
Absolutely. So, blessings, family. We appreciate you tuning in with us and being with us in these conversations. We know the mayor said, and we cite the mayor a lot because it's a rare occasion to see someone in certain particular position see them doing it. Yeah, that's the thing. I personally don't endorse much. I'm talking about say it and do it and create it, and in a situation to be able to create the impact to be able to make the residual occur for others. We don't fuck with these folks, but this brother, yes. As trust and believe.
Yeah.
And stepping leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of people that call themselves community leaders.
All the time.
All the time.
And made it seem like it was impossible to be in government and be in integrity at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Very much someone we see in integrity. But he would say that, this is a dangerous conversation. Right? Oh, he said on many occasions, this is dangerous. He's get fired of it. This is a dangerous conversation. This is dangerous talk. And it is. It is. If you're choosing to engage in this, in the face of this, you're literally saying, I rebuke this system that is shaping my whole reality. I rebuke this as shaping my whole reality. This is Thanos with the reality stone. Boom. I'm standing like, what, Thanos? I got oven mitts, but I'm going ready for you.
We coming with
you know what I mean? Like,
but you know what? If a bunch of us going and back him up with his oven mitts,
okay, we're gonna get
cooked. We got this.
You know what I mean? So
we got this.
But that's what it is. So we appreciate everybody that stands with us. Our brother Arik and everybody that jumps in. We appreciate you, brother. We appreciate you as someone who's continuing on the journey and continuing to share the knowledge, and be a grounded human being. We appreciate you. We appreciate everybody that joins us on this Soundbytes platform. And just keep rocking with us. Stay abreast of the stuff that we're getting into. We always try to share as much as possible information, events and opportunities and spaces for us to think differently and be differently with our community. So please stay tuned to for more that's to come from us here at Soundbytes. Nasir and Nefera. We try to bring as much as value as we can to the community, without a want of anything but for us to be free. And for us to be fortified. We're
only as strong as our weakest link, family. And since we got something good to give, that's of purity and of authenticity, and that's honest and it's truthful, and it actually provides residuals, we're sharing it.
Blessing, peace, brother, and you as well, brother Joseph. We thank you for joining us as well.
Somebody happy
he was out in there working. Happy birthday, born day, blessings.
Earth Strong's our brother Joseph.
To the good brother Joseph Goins,
leaving life out here in these streets.
You already know, brother. We got much love to you. We love you, brother, and we appreciate all that you do, all the support you've had. Brother has been down with Soundbytes for since we started, since the day day one. And his brother been down just in general as a brother, as a friend for many years now. Off this music and in being in the world space as creatives, just
lift him up as a different from the norm. Strong family man,
absolutely
talented individual.
So see him in the streets,
supporter. Love on that brother right there.
Love on that brother.
Love on that brother.
DMV streets. You see the brother Joseph Goins out there.
That's right.
Shout him a holler. Let him know. Born day blessings. We appreciate you, brother.
Leave us in the house.
We hope you enjoyed the day too as well. And I see you working in the studio.
Give thanks, family.
Blessings to you. And but we continue to stand with his family. Again, this is Soundbytes International Radio. Like conscious acclaim, what was the aim all day. Once again, make sure to follow us on Instagram. It says Soundbytes International Radio all together. As well as here on our Facebook, it's Soundbytes INTL Radio. That's short for international. Y'all learned something cool. And also you can follow us on Soundbytes and subscribe on our YouTube. We're also live right now on our YouTube. We're going live on our Facebook, our YouTube, and our Twitter on the Periscope. So subscribe on our YouTube channel. Let's get the YouTube subscribers up, please. Share with your peoples. Subscribe to our YouTube today, Soundbytes International Radio. And also, you can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Soundbytes International Radio, which is an audio playback of our shows for the past 3 years of Soundbytes content.
In your ear.
In your eardrum and in your mind hole.
4 to 5. Listen, it was only once a week, African. I'm here to tell you, when you're dealing with this African-centered consciousness, it's a second-by-second conversation.
Oh, for sure.
It starts off that way.
For sure.
Second by second, 5 by 5, 10 by 10.
Absolutely.
I started to meditate. I can only meditate and hold it for 1 minute and 12 seconds. Now I can meditate for a full day if I want to.
Okay.
So know this, family.
And it doesn't have to
practice.
look one way. Absolutely. And remember, you can also follow us on Twitter, Soundbytes International, Soundbytes INTL. Again, we're live on our Periscope there as well. Let's get those follows up there. We'll try to be a little bit on the Twitter platform as well. We know where the streets is hot. And remember to visit.
Let's get the message out there, family.
This is Soundbytes. This is Soundbytes.com. Is our website where you can also follow us on our Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Get you some Soundbytes merch. Get fortified with the merch, and also
get fortified, family.
If you do find value in what we bring here with the Soundbytes platform each week, and then the content throughout the week, you please feel free to provide a contribution. There's a contribution button at the top, which helps
energy exchange,
the sustainability and continued growth of this Soundbytes platform. For all we do, we do appreciate you, and we want to. Also, is there anything else we want to share? I think we want to share some things that's going on. We got some things coming down that you need to be ready for. And of course, for those that don't know, you should be in the know that my good queen, Nefra, is a very impacting and fortifying poet and a spoken word artist, an orator, and a true speaker to the community. She has a poetry series called the Queen Deferred series. Volume 3 is on its way. Volume 1 and Volume 2 available now on her website at keys number 2 soar.com. That's keys2soar.com. Get it. Yeah. Oh, that's spell it. Okay. Yeah. KUYS number 2 SOAR.com.
Yes.
To make sure you cop 1 and 2. And Volume 3 is on the way, and it's
with
also
a special bonus
coming soon. We're announcing it right now.
First time.
So an EP, an accompanying EP, a 6-track EP to go along with the release of Volume 3. So you can not only you get to read the book on your own accord, but with the EP you get to hear and be in the experience and hear through the voice of Nefra with the sounds to help guide the story. We've been having we support in creating it, but is to play it back and to be with this truly fortifying experience. And we've had some great feedback around us, so we're very excited to share with you. They were producing the sound, and she of course brought the energy. So we're really excited to share that with y'all.
Really exciting.
Very excited. We really think it's something that's to be playback again and again, to be the backdrop to your everyday walk and living in your house, and just get it in and take it in. So we're really excited for y'all to consume that. So that EP is dropping soon. And we're going into this weekend. It is some Born Day blessings coming up for the Queen this weekend. So make sure when you see it in these streets, you better wish it this Saturday, October 3rd.
October 3rd on here.
She's in the building. So it's Libra love all around. So please stay with us, family. Anything else you want to say?
No, family. So we wrapping. And we always love to go out on a high note, give you something that you can feel out here in these streets, help fortify your vibration and lift your spirits, family. It's not the doom and gloom. It's not. It's the unity and community that makes it all that much easier. We are just abundant people and talented, been here since the earth was a grain of salt. Family, understand this. We good. We got to work through these details. These are just details as far as I'm concerned. You can shake. They're just details. Absolutely. We got this, family. So peace and blessings, family. One love, Soundbytes International. As you know, always stick with us, rock with us for a bit. We got to go out with that live energy, that stepping into your I am, that power with, of course, the brother Joseph Goins, aka AJ Throwback, featured with myself, Past P, on this brother Naeem Bricks, our brother in sound. Get into
song it. I Am off that Culture album with the K, Culture with the K, available right now on all streaming platforms. As I Am, stick with us, rock with us, step in your I Am, and let's get it, family. One love.
Boom, peace. Stick with this. Get into it.
Which makes people ask who sent you. I tell them I am.
Yep.
They tell me that's a cute affirmation, but it's not an answer.
You already know.
I reply, listen again. My affirmation is your answer. It's the power of I am. This is the greatness of I am. Look at the strength that I have. None of the truth can deny that. Hear the proof in the high have. Into the reflection I digress. I love me one of the love best. I love
you already know. Let's go.
Everything I want, yeah, turn up.
This is the power of I am.
Yeah.
This is the greatness of I am. Look at the strength that I have. None of the truth can deny the power of I am. Handsome chocolate more flow.
Yup.
All right, he's a
Hey.
This is without morale, so low. So I pitch it fast, pitch it slow. Till the cows come home.
It makes sense. You know, I'm ready for that work, Brother Joseph. Let's go.
Come on, family. Sacred bonds, dirty. But bet I believe it 1,000% that I would be listening to get.
Hey.
For positive so monotonous. Get with this.
Same song.
Come on now, I'm blessed all day long. I am.
Some people might say I'm wise.
Word.
They're absolutely right.
I am wise
Ah.
I said wise, cleanse,
and purified of the nonsense you try to test for my character.
And resilient.
Come on.
I am more than a survivor.
I am a thriver.
This is the greatness of I am. Look at the strength that I have. None of the truth can deny that.
Thank you.
Yeah, the proof in the
hi-hat.
Turn the reflection
I digress. I love me more, never love less. I love me more, never love less. $1 million dreams, yeah, I manifest it. You be the blessing. I manifest it.
Anything I want,
Yeah, turn up. This is the power of I am.
this is the greatness of I am. Look at the strength that I have. None of the truth can deny the power of I am.
I'm totally surprised that I hate us on mine. Had to take setbacks and learn to wake setbacks. I don't like the jetbacks and no plans on time. Now I'm in no space of wasting my time. Because my goal is to ship paradigm. My get up and go, keep my folks from dying. So I'm on the road with a goal to refine. Riding with a mean vision, refracting from every angle through a clean prism. Dark matter reflecting, technicolor went gray when I lost my mother. 5 pieces out of my queen and the leading of my brothers.
Yeah.
My art was shaping up the grand scheme. I don't listen to the man on my damn teams. In a matter of time, became a champion. Now my everyday marcher to do the damn thing. So my aim to pack out every arena, inspire the future leaders with every line of the leaders. Of God and our believers, do what they can conceive us. Love what we do and leave us. Rich to never see us. I'm feeling good.
What they say I'm doing, what they never would. Woo!
Get a grasp on your life, yup. Prices, put it done, playing nice. We gonna recognize who the nice is from the north to the southeast. Kicking under every lane, shedding by seats. I'm in line with it, man. You cannot beat
Everything I want, yeah, turn up. Come on now, family. Not doing it. What do you want
She
to
got
say?
for him.
I do. I have.
What's
I
that?
am.
Do as my ancestors instruct.
Okay.
I have all I need to affect change.
And
Ooh.
I am a living magnification.
This is the power of I am. This is the greatness of I am. Look at the strength
Woo!
that I have. None of the truth can deny that.
Yeah, the proof
From the high hat.
To the reflection I
Digress. We love me more, never love less. We love me more, never love less. $1 million dreams, yeah, I manifest it. You keep us out, yeah, you be the blessing. I manifest it. Everything you want, yeah, turn up. This is the power of I am.
This is the greatness of I am. Look at the strength that I have.
Strength.
None of the truth can deny the
Power of I am. Come on, family. Get
Not
into
a power,
this.
y'all am family. One
Get
love.
into this. Power
Soundbytes
of I
International
am,
Radio,
family.
y'all. Join us.
Black Cops.
Yeah, absolutely, right? It's the Black
Black
Cops
Cops
Claim One
Claim
was
One
the
was the
aim.
aim.
It's for African in Business Series Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also
Get
join us
into
for our
it.
next episode of Soundbytes International Radio, Monday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well. One love, family.
We in this.
Peace.
Peace.